Oseo family, Haleto. All of the indigenous greetings of the indigenous American Nijis. I know I look a little raw. I just got off of work and I just wanted to drop something real quick. My shirt is just so stretched out of shape. So please pay attention to the message and not so much to the appearance of the messenger. I, I beg you. Well, let's talk about something. I got both my puppies running around. Yeah, I got both my boys running around. Well, let's talk about something, man. Let's talk about some real stuff. I mean, I might have to. I'm gonna go back over some for people who haven't read some of my posts or either looked at some of my videos. So I'm gonna reiterate um, something that I came out with a while back, and that's dealing with the separations between the United States and the Americas. No, the United States and the Americas are not one and the same. They're not. Two different entities. The Americas have always been here. The United States are foreigners who implemented foreign laws in the autonomous Americans' lands, people who look like me in our lands. Um, even when you think about it, even when it comes down to the so-called quote-unquote Hollywood version of Native Americans, all have benefited from our lands and our resources. Let that pass. Let that pass. All right, but all have benefited from one way, one shape, form, or another from the autonomous Americans. Now you may say, well, how did the so-called Native Americans that we know of today, that we have been given the imagery of, how did they benefit from the autonomous Americans? Well, peep their history. They are the ones who have been said or been called the natives of these lands when that is simply not true. They migrated here. They're Siberians. So if they are the autonomous or indigenous people of the lands, then who are the mound people that they ran into? See what I'm saying? So let's just talk about some things, man. I mean, I got a lot of things I got on my going through my mind. I got a lot of things that I want to get off my chest, and one of them being the national debt thing. Okay, now what is the national debt? This is debt that is owed to foreign countries by foreigners. I'm gonna say that again. This is a debt that is owed to foreign countries by foreigners in these lands. The United States government is foreigners. When you speak of the United States government, you're actually talking about Caucasians, Asians, Moors or Africans, and anybody else that comes from off of that continent over there, what we call Europe slash Asia slash Africa. That landmass. All of these people are foreigners in my autonomous lands. Now, that's what the United States is. These foreigners are part of the corporation. I'm going to say that again. These foreigners are part of the United States corporation. They're not part of the Americas. See what I'm saying? They're not the American people. The American people are the ones running around here calling themselves so-called African Americans. While foreigners are calling themselves the Americans. figure that one out. Now, a lot of the laws that the United States government have implemented into our lands are foreign laws, foreign policies. They have nothing to do with the Americans. They have nothing to do with the Americans, the indigenous Americans. This is why, if you really look into it, this is why the quote-unquote so-called Indians are not considered citizens of the United States. Say that again. This is why quote-unquote Indians or Nijis, which are people that look like me, this is the reason why we're not a part of that United States. This is why we don't have citizenship in the United States, because the United States are operating off of foreign policies and foreign laws that have nothing to do with the indigenous Americans. Now, with that being said, this is why it is written in the Constitution that we are considered 3/5 of a human being. We are 3/5 under their foreign policies, which excludes the Negro, aka Indians. We're not part of that. So how is it that the indigenous Americans, the quote-unquote Nijis of North, South, and Central America, then how is it that we are paying taxes in our lands? I'm going to break this down to you. Let me give you a scenario. Scenario being, you are a homeowner, or you own an apartment complex. Now, you got people that want to move into your home or into your apartment complex. These people pay you to do so. You don't pay them. You don't pay them to live in your home. You don't pay them to live in your apartment complex. Not unless they're house sitting. That's something totally different. Well, we're talking about people who have taken residence in your property. They're supposed to pay you. You're not supposed to pay them. And see, this is what happened when it comes down to the Americans and the United States. The United States are tenants. The indigenous Americans are the landlords. Think about that. These are our lands. Therefore, the resources are ours as well. However, through foreign policies, we are now paying for our own resources to be sold back to us, so that those who are operating illegally in our lands, stealing our resources, are able to pay back the debt that they owe to other countries that they came from. I mean, think about it. Y'all really not really grasping the whole gravity of this whole situation. Y'all not grasping it. You are a tenant, which means you are not to be taxed. If anything, you are supposed to be charging taxes. See, this is why mirror magic has been so effective, and this is why the miseducation and re-education of the so-called Negro was so vital. Because what I'm telling you right now was supposed to be totally forgotten and done away with. We wasn't supposed to figure that out. We weren't supposed to figure out that we are actually the landowners or landlords. We wasn't supposed to figure that out. We wasn't supposed to know that the so-called Negro, black, African American, colored person is already at home in his own lands. We're not supposed to know that. Only reason why we're not supposed to know that, part of the reason why we're not supposed to, I'm not going to say the only, but part of the reason why we're not supposed to know that is so we can help blood, sweat, and tears, sacrifices, and all of that, so that we can help pay back a debt that we never acquired. How many of us, indigenous Americans, have actually benefited from whatever they got from over there that we have to pay back. I'll wait. We still out here marching and singing, talking about police brutality. We're still getting unfair wages. We're still being denied certain loans. We're still being denied certain housing and all of this. So what did we benefit from whatever they borrowed upon coming over here and while over here? What have we benefited? Let's look at this stimulus check thing and how this lady, what's her name? Rosie Pelosi, whatever the fuck her name is. I'm sorry. I just get fed up at sometimes with just crazy ass people. Well, whatever her name is, she's always talking about we need to send money over there to Iraq or Iran or wherever. She wants to send money back over there. We are talking about millions of dollars, man, that she wants to send over there. All this money that was generated from the resources and from the land, as well as the people of the Americas. We're talking about the autonomous people of America. Now, she wants to not give you a stimulus check. You know, she don't want to even give the United States citizens a stimulus check, let alone the autonomous Americans a stimulus check. She doesn't want to give you that because she knows that she has a responsibility, as all the politicians know, that they have a responsibility to pay back their debt. This is why a lot of politicians are so eager to work with China, because because these people, the United States, not the Americas, not the Americans, not the autonomous, but the foreigners owe money to these other foreigners. And this is why they push for so much. This is why they push so much for financial aid to these other countries and not this one. Because if they ever wanted to pull out of this one, they'd just leave the Americas and the Americans just holding the bag, which will deplete our ability to have foreign affairs with other countries. I tell you, this stuff gets deep. It gets real deep. So the reason why she's against all of this, because she wants to help those people that help them over there, which are the foreigners, which are the Jews, the Khazar Jews or whatever. This is China. This is Japan. This is Iran, Iraq. This is all those countries over there. They're all feeding into the United States government, not the Americas. They're not feeding into the Americas. They're raping the Americas. But they're feeding into the United States corporation. So when I hear people saying the Americas, man, we don't control nothing. We don't even get a real vote. I mean, let's think about it. How many of us are really in those Oval Offices meetings? How many of us are in those UN meetings? How many of us have said, look, on behalf of us, this is what you need to say, and this is what needs to be done? And how many times has that been carried out in the specific nature of the nations, the many nations of the American people? How many times? So how is this national debt benefiting you? And why are you paying it back when you're not the one who took out the loan in the first place? See, we got to wake up, man. We got to wake up. This is why I have so many people mad at me. This is why I even have the so-called Native American, the Siberians. This is why I have them mad at me. Because I drop science like this. I drop the truth like this. And they know that they benefited from it a lot too. Yeah. They've been throwing rocks and hiding their hand a long time. This is why they don't want to admit that you were already here. This is why when we start speaking about, hey man, we autonomous, we the indigenous people, they always want, well, you are African. Why you wearing that Chinese headband on your head if you indigenous and all this stuff? You African. No, y'all are African. Y'all more African than I will ever be. Period. Y'all are. Look up the word Africa. Just like look up the word black. Ain't got nothing to do with my skin tone at all. Damn sure don't have nothing to do with my nations of people. My nations and my tribes of people. Just like your national debt has nothing to do with my nations and tribes of people. Y'all borrowed that money. We didn't. But yet and still y'all running out here and voting for the right to pay back somebody else's debt. That's what you're voting for. You're saying, hey, don't worry about it, we got you. And we barely got our damn selves. Really? So, how are the tenants charging the landlords to live in their own land? To have anything in their own land, houses, cars, whatever. How is it that we pay higher interest on a loan? A loan of money which is basically ours in the first place. It's entitled to us because they owe us. They owe us a lot. But they got you thinking that you're an African, so they don't have to pay it. They got you believing that other foreigners are the real people of these lands when other foreigners, they know just as well as we know. Hell, I was on Facebook. Somebody came on my post and said, yo, man, I talked to an Asian, and that Asian didn't call me a black person. That Asian didn't call me a Negro. That Asian didn't call me African American. That Asian called me an Indian. Wonder why? Because they know. They know. We're the ones still stuck on the short bus. We're the ones still paying into a system that's supposed to be paying us. And that's just straight up. Remember, you're the landlord. This is why it was so important to brainwash us. This is why it was so important to get us to forget who we are. This is why they so hard on taxing the so-called quote-unquote black community more than they tax their own. Food and stuff is much higher in quote-unquote black communities than they are in Caucasian, Asians, or anybody else. Because foreigners are operating off of foreign laws and foreign policies. Policies that they have paid money into, or well, should I say policies that they have borrowed money to implement and put into an international state. See what I'm saying? An international state. That's what the United States is a part and partial of. The international state. The Americas, we have nothing to do with that. I've told many people many times, and I'll say it again. Y'all about to come up out those houses and join your brother out here in these fields. Word up. Y'all about to come up out of master houses and join me in these fields. Because if you don't know what is going on with you, or going on around with you, or going around, or even concerns you, if you don't know what concerns you, then those who are holding it over your head, they can manipulate and do whatever, say whatever. We know. We're here now. We're in that state right now. And we'll continue to be that way until we start educating ourselves. Y'all keep on hollering, forget about the past, but you can't forget about shit that's going on right now. If you knew the past, then you would see that. So, I'm about to stop this, cut this short, because I'm 20 minutes in and I ain't want to be that long. But, yeah, y'all about to study up. Y'all about to study up for real. Because if you don't, you're going to continue to fall and be taken advantage of. People are getting paid off our ignorance. And we're paying other people debts because of our ignorance. And with that, I say peace.